Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the Power of Integrity podcast. This morning, I have a wonderful guest, Chris Simonsen from OrangeWood. If you're here in Orange County or anywhere in Southern California, you know this group. You may not know the man behind it that's running that organization, but what a powerful story this organization has, what a history, what a pedigree of taking care of those here at risk in Orange County. Chris, I'd love to hear a little bit about you, your personal journey. We are going to talk about integrity and the application of it as it has applied in your professional and personal life. But I'd love to hear your journey. You've been in the for-profit world, the nonprofit world now. And then I'd like to hear about OrangeWood. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself and then about the organization, if you could.
Yeah, happy to do that, Ralph, and thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, my background is actually finance and accounting, and as you mentioned, I started my career in the for-profit world, coming right out of college, working for one of the big firms, Ernst & Young, and ended up specializing in insurance while I was there. So took a couple of jobs after that with a couple of insurance companies, one down here in Irvine, and then ultimately led me to the Auto Club, AAA, and I worked through the finance ranks there to become the chief financial officer of AAA ultimately. And after about 10 years at AAA, I decided to make a big life change. I needed to get some balance back in my life and get in a different environment. And so, as luck would have it, I got a letter on my desk one day about a nonprofit that needed a CFO. And I said, well, this must be a sign that I should look into this. So
Yes.
I went to interview, and of course, the first thing they said is, what are you doing here? You're at this huge $3 billion company. We're a small nonprofit. But I told them, look, I've always loved working with kids and volunteering and coaching soccer and baseball with my kids. And I just love your mission and what you're doing. And I need to get my life back in balance. And so they ultimately offered me the job at 30% of what I was making at AAA. And I took it, and it's the best decision I ever made 17 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was the CFO for about 6 years until our CEO left. So now I've been the CEO of the organization for the last 11 years. And OrangeWood Foundation focuses on helping the most vulnerable teens and young adults in our community. Many of them come out of the foster care system. We also have specialized programming for survivors of human trafficking. And we work with a lot of homeless young adults that are just struggling with basic needs and finding housing and employment. So we've got a whole suite of programs all under our umbrella. We also raised $72 million to build our own public charter school to try to help more foster youth get through high school. It's called the Samueli Academy. And we are in our 13th year at the school, and we've been graduating 99% of our students, and
Spectacular.
92% of them are going off to college, which
Wow.
many of them, it's the first in their families that are doing that. So we're excited about all the work we're doing, but the need continues to grow. And, the more that we can get the community involved in helping us, that's just more that we can do to help our young people.
Yes, yes, and I imagine Orange County has been very receptive to Orangewood and its mission. That'd be my suspicion. And that charter school, unbelievable stats to get 99% graduated, 92 on to colleges.
Yeah,
Man.
Orangewood Foundation has been around for over 40 years, and we've built up a strong reputation, a strong brand, because we do what we say we're going to do. And that's part of integrity, right? To follow through, to tell
That's
people, hey, if you give us a donation, this is how we're going to help our young people and how we're going to have a positive impact on their lives.
Yes, you hit on a perfect note there. Integrity. The definition of integrity has been expanding as I've been doing this podcast by the guest, adding different angles and perspectives. And because classically we think of integrity as honesty, transparency, and then the words of see it through to completion or consistency, sustainability, doing what you say you're going to do, as you said. That's walking your walk, right? Not just talking it, but actually executing on it. Tell me something. When you think about integrity, is there a moment or an example in your professional or personal life where integrity played a key role in what transpired along that journey?
Yeah, I would say that OrangeWood Foundation had an integrity crisis right before I started. The CFO before me had actually embezzled $1 million from the organization,
Oh, darn.
and the the organization was coming off of this horrible news, and you know that has an impact in the community of your supporters. Questioning, oh well, is the organization really doing what they say? Are they on top of things? So when I came in, one of my big jobs was to shore up the financial infrastructure of the organization and give people the confidence that, hey, we have a strong person in here that's never going to let that happen again. And I think one of the reasons I got the job as well, besides my qualifications, is they could tell my deep passion for what the organization's mission was, but also that I was an honest guy that had good morals and had a lot of integrity, um, and that's played out over the years in all of the places that I've been.
Yes. Um, can you speak to, you have employees, you've got the constituents of the organization, um, how integrity adds to the loyalty and the success and the smooth and ease of operations when integrity plays a part in the operations of your organization?
Yeah, I think as the CEO of an organization, you're always being watched by your employees, whether you know it or not. And the way you act, everything you say and do, is scrutinized. Um, or the other way to look at it is as they're looking at you to set the example. And everything that I do every day, I practice servant leadership. That's kind of the principle that I've adopted over my tenure at Orangewood. I serve the youth and I serve the staff. And in serving others, integrity plays a key role in that. Um, you want to be transparent. You want to give them information and make them feel comfortable. You want to be that person that they can look at and say, "Oh, you know, Chris is always doing what's best for the youth. He's always got my best interests in mind." Um, and so, if you falter along the way and don't follow through in what you say, or are blatantly dishonest, that's hard to recover from. Um, you have to be consistently, uh, in, your integrity has to be consistent throughout your leadership, and that's something that's ingrained in each individual. And luckily, I had a great upbringing by my parents, and learned a lot of lessons from them and other leaders that I worked for before I got to Orangewood, on how to act or how not to act. And so every day, I just want to make sure that my employees know that I've got their best interests in mind. I've got the youth's best interests in mind. And what I say, I mean. And I'm going to do my best to always follow through on everything that I tell them. And if I can't follow through for some reason, I'm going to let them know why and be completely honest with um, what took place that made us have to change our decision.
Yes. To the extent you can as an organization, does transparency, um, play a part in how employees get to see behind the curtain of the operations? How do you give that peekaboo to the employees so that they understand what's going on at levels that some other organizations might not be comfortable with that intimacy that they're sharing with employees?
Yeah, that's something that I feel real strongly about, Ralph. A lot of employees work for organizations and they never see the financial statements, or they don't know how their compensation is set. Um, so, just to give you a couple examples, every quarter we share the financial statements at our all staff meeting with all the employees and let them know how the organization is doing. And thankfully, we've had great support from the community over the last 5 years, especially. And so our results have been strong and we've been able to grow and add more programs. It also just gives the employees that sense of safety and comfort that, hey, I'm at an organization that doesn't have struggles, and my job is safe. And then every July, I go through a process where I explain how we gather information to assess where different nonprofit positions are paid in the marketplace in Southern California. We gather that data together, we benchmark it against where our employees are, and then we explain to them how we put a budget together for their salary increases and compensation so that they understand exactly our logic behind how much money is available to increase their compensation when you're have extra opportunities to get more compensation. And that's something that many of our employees have said, like, boy, and I've just never had a company that I work for give us all this information and all this detail about how how our pay is set. And um, so I think anytime we can share information and more importantly, get input from our staff.
Yes.
We're going through a strategic planning process right now, and we're involving every member of our team in first identifying what our key initiatives are going to be over the next 3 to 4 years. And we've kind of settled on those. Now we're building out all the details on how each department can contribute to those initiatives. And so I think we try very hard to incorporate the voices of all our staff in key decisions, and our youth too. Getting youth voice to help guide us on what our priorities should be, or enhancements we can make, or needs we can meet. All those things are very important to us.
Yeah. I had no idea when I dove into that question that you were going to be that revealing. I didn't. I can appreciate it in the nonprofit world, but your servant leadership is demonstrated there when you are opening the books and you are sharing how you're arriving at compensation levels. We have a saying at our company: always make the voice of the client the voice you listen to. And it sounds like you're making the stakeholders, whoever they may be, the employees, the constituents you serve, that voice that you're listening to guide your path forward. It's phenomenal. Tell me, do you think, because most of our listeners are going to be in the for-profit world, Chris, for sure, and because you crossed over from the for-profit, do you think having that kind of revelation and clarity and transparency about financials um, in a obviously a non in a non-public environment, a private enterprise, in a for-profit enterprise, do you see that being practical? And if so, kind of guide our audience through that application, because I could see many business owners having hesitancy revealing the P&L, the profit and loss statement, the income statement the uh, to the staff and the rank and file, as we might refer to them.
Yeah, I think the hesitancy sometimes comes from, boy, if we're showing them that we're making a lot of money, then they're going to say, well, how come you're not sharing more of that money with me, right? I want my costs are going up, my rent, my food, all these things that I'm trying to struggle with, yet the company's making all this money. I don't understand. And so for us, we have a lot of dialogue with our team around the fact that, you know, and I think this applies to for-profit companies too. You know, we want to make money. We're a business like a for-profit organization, uh, but we don't need to make a ton of money, or we don't have shareholders, for example, that we have to appease. So that is a benefit that we have. But I think all companies need to prepare for the future, have a rainy day fund, have money that they can use for opportunities that come up that would benefit their business. So I think explaining to your employees the need for those reserves, those other things, uh, to make you a strong company, then they understand better. Like, well, okay, if we have all this extra money, how come it just doesn't come to the employees?
Yes.
So it's a bit tricky, but I would say that staff today, at least this is what I see, and especially younger staff, uh, they want more information. They want to see that their organization and their leaders are being transparent and there's nothing to hide. And I think if the opposite was true and the company was struggling, I think that also helps the employees understand, okay, that's why we can't do these certain things, or they're making cutbacks over here. And I think if you empower your employees, they want to help, get out of that problem. They want to help dig out of that hole. So um, too many times I think the executives feel like it has to be all on their shoulders, but you got a lot of smart people working in your companies, and especially the ones that are knee deep in the operations. They have good ideas too that can be helpful potentially. So I think getting your whole organization involved in in everything you're doing is only going to provide benefits.
Yes, yeah, that's and so back to the core reason we're here together to talk about integrity. If we turn it on its head, can you remember a time now? Of course, when you were arriving at Orangewood and that $1 million was embezzled. Apart from that, where you encountered it personally or professionally, where integrity was compromised and how the outcome did not go well.
Yeah, I think I've seen over my career in working with different executives and different leaders, um, different styles of running organizations. And that's why I've adopted my servant leadership style, because that's the one that I have seen to be most effective and the one that feels right for me as a person and my morals and my integrity. So, but I have seen other leaders over my years that um, they like to skirt the boundaries of, you know, for example, using company assets for their own personal pleasure or gain, where, really it's, and they could be small things, like, an executive secretary doing personal work for that executive's wife or something, like
Yes.
people might not think that of that as like stealing, but in my mind, when you're using company resources for personal gain, that's not acceptable. It's not appropriate. That secretary should be dedicating her 8 hours a day to supporting the organization, not as an executive's personal household or something. So,
Yes.
I mean, those little things can then grow to be bigger things, and um, that's why in everything that I do, uh, I always think twice about what is the perception going to be if our staff see this thing. They might think it to be very innocent. Um, like, here's a very basic example at Orangewood. We have volunteers come and cook in our kitchen every day. Um, and our young people that are in need of food come in and get their breakfast and lunch and even dinner a couple nights a week. And a lot of times those volunteers will say, oh, I'll go down and greet them and thank them for coming. And they'll say, hey, have you had lunch? Like, here, have some food. Well, you know, they might have plenty of food, but at the same time, I know that we could pack up all that food, put it in our refrigerator, and kids are going to be coming in day after day. Or we can send it off to our housing programs. And, if I grab a food and I go in the lounge and I'm eating in there with the food that the volunteers have made, it just, in my mind, doesn't look good. Like, wait, I thought that food was for the youth. And, why is the CEO eating that food? So there's no ill will or malice there, but it just can be construed the wrong way, without the context around it.
Well, the subtlety and nuance from that conversation narrative you just shared is rare. It's rare that folks understand and perceive the panoramic optics of how things can play out or look. And you are walking your walk when you are going to that granular level of saying, wait a minute, I'm being watched. And what's the implications of what's transpiring right now in front of these folks, whether they'll say something or not? It is corrosive, and one thing compounds another. So, for you to have that keen sense of integrity, it's one of the reasons you're on the show.
Well, thanks, Ralph.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a delight so far. We're probably pulling up close towards the end. I'm wondering if you could share, especially with our young folks, the young entrepreneurs trying to get a lift and trying to get a leg up, how integrity plays a role, and that principle of integrity plays a role in how to play the long ball when sometimes short-sighted moves might lack integrity, how integrity might come back to really benefit them in the long run. Do you have any thoughts about that and how you might share with the young entrepreneurs and professionals?
Yeah, I think, at its core, if you're doing the right thing and you're being honest and your integrity is high, you can't go wrong. It's not going to come back and bite you in the butt. Um, and sometimes, especially I've noticed with our younger workers, they want immediate gratification. They sometimes lack a little bit of patience and willingness to wait for things to play out and see
Yes.
kind of the long game. And if you're with an organization that has high integrity and um, is transparent and is growing and is giving people opportunities, you know, at least when I was a young person in my career, I knew if I just, kept working hard and doing the right thing, that I was going to be recognized. And, that's what happened to me. I rose all the way to be the CFO of a $3 billion company by doing that. And, just working hard and, like I said, doing the right thing, um, asking the right questions, being curious, having good mentors uh, that can, help you along the way. I think those are the key things that, can help you be successful in your young career. And, but like I said, it doesn't always happen overnight. And so, um, being with a company that has strong values and morals, there's a lot of value in doing in working at a place like that, um, outweighing, maybe it's a little less compensation, or there's a lot of intangibles, I think, that uh, younger people don't put a lot of value on, that as you get older you realize those things are very important, and sometimes, way more important than your compensation or things like that.
Yeah, the thread of integrity weaves a wonderful fabric once you see it play out over time. And, I take from this that it's really important. You can't you can't go wrong doing the right thing, right?
Exactly. Yep,
Having
exactly.
integrity never comes back to haunt or bite you,
Right, for sure.
right? Talk about being able to rest peacefully at night and when away from the job and in the job. Chris, it's been a wonderful conversation with you. I don't know if there's any last minute things you wanted to share. I certainly want you to share with our audience. If someone wants to get in touch with you or Orangewood, how do they do that best?
Yeah, so our website is orangewoodfoundation.org, and we're always looking for volunteers and people to get involved. You can go on our website and sign up to do something as an individual or bring a group of friends to cook in our kitchen. Uh, we also are in need of foster families. We have a foster family agency that's part of our school. And so we're in desperate need of people that are willing to have an impact on a teenager's life. Uh, the unique thing about our program is it's not a 24/7 commitment. Those young people live in a dorm on campus during the week and are only with their foster parents on the weekend. So it's ideal for people that have working careers or busy lives. Um, but that's a need we have. And then I guess the last thing is we have a workforce development program, and we're looking for companies that are willing to hire some of our young adults that don't have a college pathway, and we want to get them on sustainable careers with livable wages. So if you've got a company that needs entry level employees, uh, our Lion Workforce Academy program is something we'd love for you to look into and meet with our team. And we provide a lot of support to those employers in that journey with that young person. And all of our partners have found it a very fulfilling uh, partnership with us.
Chris, this is all extemporaneous right now, and I want to give you an opportunity. So often to connect with a nonprofit's mission, we hear the stories from the constituents themselves, those who've gone through the program. Anecdotally, is there something that comes to mind besides the statistical success that you shared with all the graduates and all the success that's going on at the school and how many lives you are helping? Can you tell us about, without breaching anyone's confidence, about a success of one or two of those constituents so that folks can really identify with what's going on in Orangewood?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to share a story. So, me being at Orangewood for 17 years, I've got to know some of our young people that we've been helping. And we have a drop in center right at our headquarters facility where we last year helped over 1,100 young adults with the struggles they are having, many of them around homelessness. And we had a young man, this was years ago, who was out of foster care, and his senior year of high school, he was homeless, living in a park, and just struggling with some addiction issues because he was so depressed. And he was coming to our drop in center on a daily basis to get food and get some support. And he had his ups and downs. There were times where his behavior was so poor, we had to tell him, look, you need to take 2 weeks off from coming to the center until you can treat our staff with the respect that they deserve. And we kept, working with him. And finally, though, he realized himself, you know what, I'm never going to move forward unless I get sober. So we helped arrange a sober living facility for him, and our staff would go and visit him during his 90 days there. And ultimately, he graduated from the program, and we brought a big cake over for him. And he was so excited to start his journey clean and sober. And ultimately, we helped him get a job, and it was, job at Papa John's Pizza, but it was the first real job that he'd had. And fast forward many years later, he now manages one of their stores down in San Diego. He's saved up enough money to buy his first car. He got an apartment of his own for the first time. He got married a couple years ago, and he's doing great. And he's not a Harvard graduate like some of our superstars that we've helped, uh, but you know what? He's got a very fulfilled, happy life. Uh, and he's doing great. And those are the kind of success stories that we're just glad to be a part of his journey. He did all the hard work. He's the hero of his story, but Orangewood was there, for many years, supporting him and helping him in his low times, and also as he was succeeding. So we've got over 2,000 young people a year that we're serving that are just like Angel, and we're doing all we can to help them move forward in their lives, accomplish the goals that they've set for themselves, and lead a healthy and happy, productive life.
That's, you are truly changing outcomes and impacting lives.
Well, thank you.
Orangewood, orangewoodfoundation.org is how folks get in touch with you, Chris. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to send me an invitation and we can connect, and then you can be plugged into all the things that we're doing. And also some of the posts that I put there that I find relevant to, excellent leadership and the way people should be treated.
Wonderful. Well, Chris Simonsen, Orangewood Foundation, pleasure having you today. Really look forward to seeing you again real soon. Good friend and colleague of mine. I appreciate your time. And thank you, folks, for joining the Power of Integrity podcast. Hopefully, you've taken away a nugget or two from today's conversation with Chris. Appreciate you, Chris. We'll talk soon again.
All right. Thank you, Ralph. Take care.
All righty.
The information presented in this program is provided for informational purposes only. The information is believed to be reliable, but no guarantee of accuracy is made or implied. Expressions of opinions are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult a legal or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. This information does not constitute a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell any security. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of capital. Ralph Adamo is registered with the securities and are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, 6451 North Federal Highway, Suite 1201, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33308. Telephone number 954-782-4771. Investment advisory services are offered through Kovac Advisors, Inc. Integrity Wealth Management is not affiliated with Kovac Securities, Inc. or Kovac Advisors, Inc.